I did. They gave me one of those on the Board of Appeals when I served there. So,
All right.
yeah.
All right, here we go. This is the November 4th, 2025 open meeting of the Hopkinton Conservation Commission being conducted remotely consistent with an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. The new law authorizes all members of a public body to continue participating in meetings remotely. The open meeting law's requirement that a quorum of the body and the chair be physically present at the meeting location remains suspended. For this meeting, the Hopkinton Conservation Commission is convening by video conference via Zoom, as posted on the town's web meeting calendar and the Conservation Commission agenda, identifying how the public may join. Additionally, the meeting may also be broadcast by HCAM through one or many of its channels or platforms. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that others may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Please also keep yourself on mute unless and until called on by the chair. Supporting materials that have been provided to members of the commission for this meeting are available on the town's website. This meeting will feature public comment. After commission members and staff have discussed each project application on the agenda, the chair will open the discussion to public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak are asked to identify their name and address. 3 minutes will be afforded for each public comment. Each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted via roll call of the members. I will now confirm which commission members are present. Melissa Recos, Chair.
Here.
Jim Cirillo.
Yes.
Ed Harrow.
I'm here.
Walter Garland.
Here.
Matt Moyen.
Present.
And I am Ted Barker Hook. I'm present. I will now confirm that staff are present. Judy Day, the Hopkinton Conservation Administrator.
Present.
Anna Rogers, the Environmental and Inspectional Services Coordinator.
Present.
And Joe Orzel of Lucas Environmental.
Present.
I'd like to let everybody know that we've had a couple continued hearings tonight that we will not be discussing. Those are Holmes, 37 Oakhurst Road. That's been continued to November 25th. And DeWolf, 47 Oakhurst Road, continued also to November 25th. Melissa.
All right. Thanks, Ted.
You're welcome.
So first off, welcome Walter Garland, our new member, to the commission.
Thank you.
And yeah. Walter, you want to give a little introduction or background on yourself just for the rest of the group here? If you don't mind, put you on the spot.
Sure. Yeah, no worries. I'm just Walter Garland. I've been a Hopkinton resident now, going on 30 years. I love the town of Hopkinton, and as I said in front of the select board, I like to do whatever I can to help preserve the unique nature of Hopkinton and its natural resources. So very happy to serve on the commission. I was a member of the Board of Appeals for a number of years and left that a few years ago. Still working full time, so it does limit my free time a little bit, but I will always make time for being part of any of the commission activities. So very happy to be here.
Great. We're happy to have you. Thank you. And just for everybody, if you missed the pre-game discussion, I guess, Walter's not technically sworn in yet. Hopefully that'll happen this week or next week before our next meeting.
Definitely.
And I guess, fortunately, our next meeting on November 25th is in person, so we can meet you, not just on the screen, but in person. You can meet all of us. So
Great.
that works out well.
Did you hear that, Ed, in person?
All right. So we'll start off with a couple work session items. First off, draft minutes for review, April 29th, 2025. Does anyone have any comments on these or have not had enough time to review them? Nope, hearing none. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the April 29th, 2025 minutes?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, Ed,
Aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I am also an aye. Next up, we have Morrow 88 Franklin Road, a request for certificate of compliance. Judy, can you go over this one and let us know what your recommendation is?
Sure, through the chair. So this is a request for COC to close out an order issued in 2021 for the construction of an addition off of an existing barn. So this is the as-built here. The addition is this back portion. The request came in last year, and the commission originally discussed last fall. So Joe's comments from last fall were adding a few items to the as-built, removing soil and brush piles in the areas of flags 2 and 4, which have been removed, confirming the size of the mitigation area, that it matched the proposed and approved size, and a riprap area northeast of the barn here to be added to the as-built and commissioned to discuss its presence. The applicant has asked to keep it as that area of the driveway was eroding. So the reason it didn't get closed out last fall is the restoration area and the plantings hadn't survived long enough. And there was some confusion over the row of boulders. Initially, they were further back and there was a row of medallions on posts. So it was a little confusing having both, but not in the same location. So the applicant has since moved the boulders to be in line with the posts. So they're all in one continuous line here. The applicant has confirmed that the size of the restoration area matches the proposed and approved size. I think it's actually a little bit bigger. And we confirmed that the plantings are doing well and have survived about 2 to 3 growing seasons at this point. Area is stable. There's no erosion controls left in the field. I think at this point, staff recommend the COC be approved. I'm happy to answer any questions. And I think we might have one of the Marquardants on the line who worked on this as well.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Judy. Yeah, I do remember going over this one last fall. Joe, do you have anything to add to what Judy summarized there?
Yeah, I really haven't looked at the new information in detail. I did see that the new plan was submitted. I guess the only question I would have, looking at my previous review, was the status of the plantings, if they were native. The cultivars were not explicitly prohibited under the order, but I think it was supposed to be native plantings in the restoration area. So I think it would be my only question.
Yeah. Judy, you said I think our concern from the last meeting was not the type of plants at that point in time, it was the growing seasons. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. It was the growing seasons and the row of boulders matching up with the medallions on posts were the big issues.
Okay, so maybe we can assume that was checked. The plant types last time. That sounds good, Joe. Mr. Marquardt, do you have anything to add? No.
Hello, this is Dave.
Dave, hey.
Hi. So I think part of the time frame as to why we're here at this particular point to answer one of Joe's questions, I think some of the plantings previously were not native. So I think the owner had purchased additional plants, so we wanted to give it more time to ensure that they were going to last and survive, and they have. So I think that's kind of why we have kind of a little bit of a time difference between when it was first presented to this point now, as well as the boulders and the size of mitigation. So
Okay. Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yep.
Anyone on the commission have any questions here?
Melissa, I have one small question.
Sure.
I can't seem to get on my iPad the plan to focus, so I apologize if this is very obvious, but I'm looking at the red dots, which I assume is the boulders around the barn. And then I see two black dots, which I assume are PIB markers. Am I reading that correctly? Dave?
that is correct. Yep.
So my question for the commission or Dave is, did we really want only two PIBs? And if we did, it looks like they've satisfied it, but it seems odd to me that we didn't have any, assuming north is the top of the plan, that we didn't have any south of the barn.
That's correct. We had only shown two originally, and part of the confusion previous was that the boulders in that particular picture, the boulders were more to the left. So we wanted to put the boulders in kind of a line with the PIBs, but there was no discussion from the commission providing additional PIBs.
Okay. Then I guess I can't ask for more, but a little bit I regret that it's not something I noticed a year ago or so ago. So unless the applicant would say, sure, I'll put one in, I don't think I can require it for the vote today. So
Yeah, this might have been one, Ted, where when we originally looked at the plan, like approved the plan, we were accepting just the boulders themselves and things like that. And in more recent years, we're doubling down. And
I assume that's what happened
both.
too, is that we've learned some things about PIBs since 2021.
Mhm.
So, okay, that was my only question.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the approved plan up here. So there were PIBs spec'd around the full barn, but boulders were, I guess, approved as the PIB option. So I think it's maybe more of a funky situation that we have both, but they were approved, and boulders are something that we often recommend using. So,
Okay. All right. It sounds like everything's been satisfied for this COC. So can I get a motion to approve the COC with signatures by Anna or Judy?
This is Ed, so moved.
Can I get a second?
I'm not muted. I'm happy to second.
All right. All in favor, Ed,
Aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I am also an aye. We're all set there.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, being that it is 7:15, I'll jump up to the beginning of the agenda and the new hearings. This one is request for determination of applicability. Ed, do you have the sheet to read off?
You betcha.
Thanks.
Coming at you. The Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025 at 7 p.m. virtually online to hear all persons interested in a request for determination of applicability filed by the Hopkinton Water and Sewer Department to install a replacement public drinking water well. Location 0 Fruit Street, Assessor's Map U3, Block 2, Lot 1.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have someone representing the DPW here tonight?
I am. I'm Laura Callahan from Callahan Consulting.
Welcome.
I'm a hydrogeologist representing Hopkinton DPW and the Water Department.
Okay, great. Thank you. Do you have a presentation you want to give here?
I can quickly go over it. The town is proposing to replace Fruit Street well number 1 because it's old. It's lost its capacity. And it's proposing to, in addition to a replacement well, to install 15 feet of water main to connect the new well to the main station facility. Like all infrastructure and facilities, public water supply wells get old, collapse, or get clogged and need to be replaced. Well number 1 has served as a source of drinking water since its construction in 1958. 2019, the well screen collapsed and the town installed a sleeve, which means they dropped down a smaller diameter screen, and that significantly reduced the capacity of the well. You may be aware that the town is investigating potentially joining the Mass Water Resources Authority for water supply. It's a very long process. And in the meantime, the town needs to maintain its water distribution system. They are currently needing to run all its wells simultaneously to meet peak day demand. And that means they can't turn off a well to clean it or maintain it or replace a pump. So they need to stay up. It's a very stressful way to manage a distribution system. So they do need to continuously maintain these and replace them. So they selected well number 1 as the first one or one to replace. Well number 1 is located, as you said, at 0 Fruit Street. It's a 12-acre parcel owned by the town. It is partially forested, has open grassland. It has an unpaved access road that goes to each well and the main Fruit Street station there. And it also has an intermittent brook that flows through the site. The brook was identified as intermittent on USGS StreamStats as well as topographic maps. And the water department staff has observed that the brook goes dry over several summers in the last 10 years. Additionally, in 1996, EarthTech did a pumping test out there on their wells 1, 2, and 3. I didn't mention that they were also on the site. They did a pumping test to redelineate the Zone 2 protection area for the wells. And at the time, we put in monitoring wells in the stream and beneath the stream to see how connected the stream was to the aquifer. And it was determined that it was not in good connection. So as we pumped the wells for the pumping test, the water table declined in the aquifer, but the surface water in the brook did not. There was the report, rereading the report, it identifies 6 inches of silt and muck at the bottom of the stream, which usually isn't enough to prevent an aquifer connection, but it did have the aquifer material beneath the stream is a very fine to fine sand. So it did provide a confined aquifer in that area. So the aquifer is not contributing to the brook, which is why it goes dry. So I think that was the evidence we were using to confirm that was intermittent. Water supply development in Massachusetts is regulated under the Mass DEP drinking water program, and the drinking water regulations and their guidelines provide criteria for replacement wells. And basically, they very much, if you were to replace a water supply well, they want you to replace it very close, within 50 feet of the existing well. Sometimes we can go up to 250 feet. You might hear that for the larger wells. If you can improve the Zone 1 protective radius, or if you can reduce impacts to a stream or something. But basically within 50 feet of the existing well, and also they want you to be drawing from the same material. So they want you to have the same depth. So the town is proposing to replace this well within 15 feet of the existing well. And that's because it's a very tight site. The existing well is very close to the brook, as are all the wells there. It is within 15 to 20 feet. I originally measured it from the map, but your consultant went out and measured it in the field. It's very close. So we don't want to get any closer to the brook. We don't want to get any closer to Fruit Street or to the main station. So we're going to the northeast just 15 feet. And then the well DP would require us, existing well number 1 is an 18-inch by 24-inch gravel-packed well with a depth of 33 feet. So we are proposing the same thing. We would replace it with an 18 by 24 well to 33 feet. The original well log indicates that at 34 feet, you encounter till and then bedrock. So we couldn't go any deeper anyways. They don't want you to change the well very much because they don't want you to create a new impact, or they don't want you to have to change your zone 1 or 2. So that's what the town would be proposing. I think we mentioned that replacement wells are exempt of the Mass Wetland Protection Act and the Hopkinton bylaws. And that's under 10.022A2, which states that activities conducted to maintain, repair, replace, but not substantially change or enlarge an existing and lawfully located structure or facility used to service the public and used to provide electric, gas, water, sewer, telephone, etc. So this project would fall under that category. Furthermore, there are no natural heritage protected species or areas on the site. It would be within the buffer zone for the intermittent tributary, but because it's intermittent, it wouldn't be the riverfront 200-foot protective area. It is in a FEMA floodplain. Mass Mapper identified it as being in a floodplain, but I think your consultant referenced current FEMA firm data, which indicates that it is the bordering land subject to flooding is not present on site. I believe the site has flooded in the past, so we would be constructing that well to extend above the floodplain, 2 feet above flood level. That's required by the state, and we'll go ahead and do that. As far as protecting the resources, the first thing we would do would be installing, silt fencing, hay bale type things. But we would go out there with a small drill rig and install a test well at the proposed location, a 2.5-inch diameter test well, just to confirm that the soils are the same and suitable. And then the project would go out to bid. And hopefully a couple drilling companies would bid on it, and then we would come out with a larger drill rig and construct the 18 by 24 inch. If you want me to go into the details of that, I will. I think the important thing would be the soils that come up. We would store them properly. We collect a lot of them to do grain size analysis on. But once the 12-inch outer diameter casing is installed and the soils removed, we would install the smaller 18-inch diameter well inside, pull back the 24-inch casing, and begin to pump and develop the well. And that's an important issue because it's what we would do with the water that we pump from the well. Typically on sites that allow us, we through a soft 6-inch diameter hose, bring the water far from the stream or wetland. But if we do need to, sometimes it's valuable to put the water into a dry stream. Towns, Concoms let us. If that's the case, or if water starts to get near the stream, we would put in splash boards and catch basins that catch the sand, and only clean water would run into overland flow into the brook. I'd be happy to answer. Oh, sorry. The next thing, after the well is developed and constructed, we would then install a 15-foot main, water main, 8-inch diameter. It would go from the new replacement well to the existing well. The existing well has over it a vault that houses items like there's a heater in there, there's a sump pump in case it floods, there's a motor for the pump and a check valve. Those would all be replaced. The new water main would run through there and connect to the existing water main that goes to the main station. So it would go from the replacement well to the main station. And then finally, public water supply wells that are replaced are required to abandon the existing well that we are replacing. So we need to abandon and decommission it. So what that entails is pouring sand down the old well to fill up the screen, and then trimming down like a bentonite grout to the surface. And this prevents contamination from going down the existing well and into the aquifer. And then there's paperwork for all of this that has to be filed with DEP. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. I think I'd like to turn it over to Joe, and because I know I was reading through his letter as well. Joe Orzel, can you talk about maybe some of the things that were just brought up you had comments on, as well as any other thoughts you have?
Sure. I did, as was mentioned, look at the distance from the existing well to the stream, and it's about 20 feet. I just wanted to note that because it was described as 50 feet in the project narrative. That might have been a typo. There's a fringe of BVW along the stream, not very wide. The BVW edge is roughly 16 to 18 feet from the existing well, and corresponds pretty closely with the edge of the current mowing. There was no delineation. The applicant is not looking for any approval of a delineation, but I thought the commission might want to know how close the wetland and stream. With regard to the exemption for replacing a well, it does appear to meet the exemption with, I think the only point that might be up for discussion is whether or not putting in a well 15 feet away and then a new pipe connecting to the old well meets the language of not substantially changing the existing well. And I think that might be open to some discussion for the commission. And that language is included in both the Wetlands Protection Act exemption and the bylaw exemption. With respect to the bordering land subject to flooding, the area is mapped in a zone X 0.02% flood, so a 500-year flood zone outside of the 100-year flood zone. But the full description of that zone X also includes areas of 100-year flooding of less than 1 foot. So I had recommended that the applicant provide any information on whether there's known to flood in that area, and apparently it is. So even though it's mapped as a zone X 500-year flood zone, it looks like it would be within bordering land subject to flooding based on observed flooding in the past.
Yeah, I think one town staff said 1 year over his term, it did flood a bit, and so they installed a sump pump, and they haven't used it since, but it did flood one year that he remembered. And they weren't all on site; it was just one of the guys. So
okay. And I also commented on the project narrative stated that in a kind of a general way that efforts will be made to ensure siltation does not enter the adjacent stream. And I recommended that erosion and sediment controls should be installed with an erosion control barrier between the work zone and the stream, located up gradient of the BVW or up gradient of the edge of mowed grass. locating any stockpiles as far from the stream and BBW as practicable, including an additional erosion control barrier around any stockpile that is required. Keeping dewatering activity and discharge as far as practicable from the stream, and using straw bales rather than hay bales, as was indicated in the narrative. And I think there was a subsequent erosion control barrier detail that was submitted showing the silt fence and straw bales. I think the other items could potentially be commissioned by the commission with respect to location of any discharge or any stockpiles and additional erosion control barriers.
Yeah.
I think that covers my comments.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Joe.
in just regard to the flooding, I think the flooding came off of the road, now that I'm remembering our discussion. A lot of, because you know how that turn on Fruit Street comes in? So there was just an awful lot of water. However, in regard to flooding, we're required now with wells, you know, to build it 2 feet above the flood elevation. So we'll be studying that and determining what that is with DEP, because they'll regulate that for us.
Okay.
So although we don't, at the end of the site, there'll be nothing, we won't be displacing any floodwaters, but there will be, we can't bury the top of the pipe. It will be extended up a couple of feet to get the top of the well above the floodplain, the flooded elevation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hi, through the chair.
Hey, Carrie. Yes.
Hi, Carrie Reed. I'm the DBW director, so we're very aware of the flooding issues out there, and we have the flooding is really caused by an undersized culvert where the stream goes, and it's been backing up and really causing some concern for this well. So this project is going to build more resiliency to our program, which is we really do need. But we do have a grant from was it EEI DCR, a culvert grant that we've been working on Fruit Street in this area to try to improve the culvert, improve connectivity of the ecosystem with the wetlands across the street, which you can see beautifully in this picture, and to reduce that flooding. So it's a simultaneous project to try to, do all those wonderful things that we've been talking about.
Thank you. I was unaware of that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, that's helpful.
Through the chair, this is Ed.
Yes, Ed.
Carrie, is this flooding something that's still going on, or is this from some time ago?
It still goes on because it's an undersized culvert. So when we get these like really intense short duration storms, the stream and the culvert doesn't have enough capacity. We also have some issues because the property is on this great, amazing conservation area. Like there's so much conservation, but there's wetlands upstream. So depending on the capacity and how much room they have and beaver activity and all that stuff, that contributes too. So we do have periodic flooding. It is absolutely related to like the flashiness of the storm. And as Maura pointed out, it also dries up. Like, so when we've had drought conditions recently, it's been dry.
Thank you.
All right. So I think one of the important things, I guess, just to discuss with the commission and decide is, we're being asked if this can be looked at as an RDA for whether we need a notice of intent or not. And kind of parallel with that, if this is could fall under an exemption based on the definitions like Joe brought up, or that Joe brought up in his letter and Maura included in the proposal. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that. I think it is a little bit of a gray area with you're not replacing the well where it is. So it's kind of different than our replace a pipe in the street with another pipe in the street, but it does sound like it's replacing the existing well with an equivalent well in
Yeah,
approximately the same area.
Yeah, so we can't physically replace the well in the exact same spot.
Right.
And
Yes.
this was, yeah, and the state did include public water supplies in that for this reason. The replacement well in this exemption.
I don't know if anyone else has thoughts on that, but either way, you're asking for an RDA, not an exemption request. I think is what we're voting on.
Through the chair.
Yes, Matt.
Yeah. Well, so my understanding of this situation is it would be exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act. At least in my opinion of the replacement being as proximate as it is, it's not an entirely new well that we're dealing with here. So I'd be of the opinion that for the request, this would be a negative determination.
Okay.
Yeah, just to reiterate that the replacement well is to replace infrastructure, and we are to design it to withdraw the same water from the same geologic formation to not change potential impacts to natural resources. That's the criteria for a replacement well.
Gotcha. Okay. And I do find Joe's comments and recommendations just in regards to the erosion sediment controls during the construction. I think that's probably the most impactful part of the project for us anyway. So I do appreciate Joe's comments and including the erosion control barriers, some language that's required between the work zone and the stream. And pumping, I think, as far as possible from the stream. Would also be desirable from our point of view. Does anyone else on the commission have any comments or thoughts, or anyone from the public? No. Okay. So I think with that being said, I'll ask if anyone would like to make a motion for a negative determination of applicability, including the conditions that Joe had written up in his letter for erosion controls, erosion and sedimentation controls during construction.
I'll amend Jim's motion with signatures by Judy or Anna. And
Thank
second.
you. All right, all in favor. Ed?
Aye.
Ted?
Ted is an aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And I'm also an aye. So you are all set.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
It was nice to meet you all.
You too. Great. Next up, we have Hopkinton Trails Committee. This is a continuation of the Chamberlain Street Loop Road Trail connection and stream crossing. All right, Judy, you want to give an update?
Sure, through the chair. So we haven't discussed this project in quite a while. The applicant's been working on a stormwater report and checklist for DEP, as that was one of their requirements prior to issuing a DEP file number. So we do have a stormwater report, stormwater checklist, discussion on how the project is meeting stormwater standards to the extent practicable. It's quite long, so I haven't sent it over to Joe for his review yet. I just wanted to make sure the commission, whether or not you wanted a peer review for the stormwater report, as it'd probably be a pretty sizable chunk of time to spend on it. And DEP, I believe, has the report, but has not issued a file number yet. So I think we have Chuck on the line if folks have questions about it. And if the commission can discuss whether or not they'd like peer review on this, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Oh, and we also have updated site plans showing the soil stockpiling area. That was a request at the last discussion.
Okay. Thank you. Chuck, did you want to add anything as far as updates from what Judy just summarized?
Well, regarding the, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Regarding the need for a detailed peer review of the stormwater report, frankly, I would hope that is not necessary. This is a 94-page report, most of which is boilerplate geared to serious development projects. And the bottom line is that there is no practical alternative to reduce the any possible stormwater impact from this very minor project that would be practical, financially or even environmentally, to create additional stormwater controls along the route, which is following an existing woods road and already established path, would mean additional clearing, grading, etc. Now, to the degree that the commission wants another opinion, I certainly understand that. But frankly, I think this is one indication of bureaucratic overkill. The DEP wanted a report to check off. We now have one, but this is a project of very limited impact, and we're certainly happy to go through the review, but I would hope that it would not be have to be a time-consuming and costly to the town peer review. I do appreciate Joe's comments on previous elements, but I think we've established that this is not a significant impact in terms of stormwater.
Gotcha. Thank you. I did flip through the stormwater report today. And yeah, it's like you said, exactly like you described, a pretty lengthy boilerplate stormwater report. There's no like detailed calculations. There's no BMPs for this project. I don't see personally, I don't see a need for having it peer reviewed. I think DEP is going to take a look at it and they'll provide you with comments. They're the ones that are requesting it. So, can see what they have to say about it. Obviously I'm open to thoughts from others on the commission, but I think we have a couple knowledgeable stormwater folks here on the board that can give it give it a look. The only thing that I saw on there was, like you said, it is kind of boilerplate. There were some things in there about like portalets, dumpsters, concrete washout areas. You're not needing any of those on this project,
No.
right?
No, those, again, I'm afraid that boilerplate is to some degree the proper term. This would be something that would be appropriate for a major development of a stormwater pollution prevention plan. But it is, way beyond what's required for this. We will be doing basic sediment controls, minimization of any cleared area, and reestablishment of vegetation in areas that are cleared, but not covered by the stone dust path itself, which is going to be pretty minimal. This is following a narrow, established path. So I do not see where there needs to be, further significant review. Obviously, because we, meaning the Trails Committee and representatives, will be on site during the construction. This is not something we turn over to the contractor and say, just go do it. As has been the case with our other stone dust paths in town, we keep close tabs on it. So I would trust that would give the commission the faith that this will be properly monitored.
Okay. And a couple of things I saw in there too. Again, there's a long-term operation and maintenance plan, long-term pollution prevention, and there's things in there too that seem to me probably not applicable. But I did want to ask, because they're in the plan, it talked about snow plowing. You're not gonna plow this trail, right?
No, we will not be
Okay.
plowing. The management of this trail will be similar to the Center Trail, the Hughes Trail, the Echo Trail, the other stone dust paths in town.
Okay. And there was notes about storage of fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, and how those are managed. I imagine that's not occurring on our
Not applicable.
Okay. So maybe that would be maybe an overarching comment on the stormwater plan from me. Was maybe we can put some not applicable notations on these things so that there's no confusion, or we're not, saying yes to something that we expect not to be happening for the
Thank
trail.
you.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate your concern, and that was a concern I had as well in looking at it.
Okay.
Procedurally, this plan has been stamped by an engineer as a requirement. We can go back to the engineer and hopefully, if they understand that the commission has the opinion that you've expressed, that they will agree to those caveats, then hopefully there would be no problem. I just don't want them to have to totally reframe their report
Yeah,
at,
no,
at the town's cost.
right. No, I hear you. Does anyone else, Matt, do you have any thoughts on this?
I concur that a peer review is not necessary here.
Okay. All right, in regards to the project itself, the plans, this will open it up to the commission and see if anyone has any comments at this point in time. One thing I'm still a bit concerned with is the section that we're looking at right here that goes along the basin. And with potential over like that basin when it fills up, it looks like the low point is right at the trail, and that would be where it would overflow if the basin was going to overflow in a storm. And it is pretty steep coming down from the loop road, the proposed grades, well, the existing grades and the proposed grades along the wetland there. Yeah. So that's my biggest concern with this plan is that you're going to have some erosion issues with water coming down the path because of the slope off of Loop Road and that basin if there's water that comes over the top when it reaches capacity, because I think that is the overflow location for this basin. See the drain outlet right there on the side.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand the issue. One, I would note that the approximately a little less than 200 feet coming from the loop road down to that low point that you note, all of that is elevated. Therefore, any accumulation of runoff there is very minimal. It's just from the surface itself. So we're not dealing with erosion, runoff coming from the basin there. There was not, and I was somewhat surprised when I first looked at it, to see that there was no overflow designed from the basin. So the obvious overflow point is at the low. That at that point, we are essentially at existing grade. So we are not changing the hydraulics or hydrology of that basin. Any overflow would be as it was originally designed. If it were designed, it was not obvious. And then we continue from there. So if the overflow there was considered to be stable, we will not be changing that situation. I go back to ancient history when I worked with what was then the SCS, NRCS. We tried to design our overflows where at existing grade because it was less erodible than fill. And that's the situation here.
Through the chair.
Yes, Matt.
I know we talked about this, but I'm struggling to remember why. There's the existing gate and path on the south side, plan south of the basin. What was the logic behind going with this alignment versus utilizing that? I just can't remember.
Okay, thank you. There is thought in the future, of potentially turning in a continuation effectively of the center trail along the toe of the slope there. That would require some additional engineering and cost. That would connect to the south end of the center trail by the yellow post, rather than going along the loop road sidewalk. If that were in the future to be part of a, quote, Upper Charles Trail. So that's the reason for the routing there, historically. But it works, very nicely. And also, frankly, since it's good management to keep large woody vegetation off a stormwater basin embankment, this will help with that aspect of management there.
Matt, are you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't mean to rush you.
Nope, I'm good.
I would just say, if I may, Melissa, through the chair, my only real hesitation is the same one that you and Matt have, this part of the path. I think when we first got it, I asked about why it needed to be stone dust at all. I had just, it happenstance, had walked the trail. But I accept for certainly wheelchair access or baby stroller access, putting the dust down makes sense. I kind of accept for kids on bicycles, although when I was a kid on a bicycle, I didn't need stone dust. I just don't know that the stone dust is needed there, and certainly right next to the wetland there. I do like what you say, Chuck, about getting rid of the woody vegetation at the edge of the retention basin, but we can do that without making a stone dust trail. And to build one that close to the resource area that might be helpful to us if some other things break the right way, just gives me pause. Having walked there, not ridden a bike, but having gone down onto that football field, I don't see why we need the stone dust to go all the way to the loop road, that it can pick up right where it has that nice bend to the right as you head along the field. That feels like for now that could be adequate to me. Other than that, I've accepted the stone dust for the rest of the trail, and that's my hang up right now, my hesitation.
I understand your concerns. We feel that the alignment we've proposed can be done without impact on the resource area. We have not discussed with the school department, because often they chain off the access to Field 11. And you're concerned, I assume, with unauthorized vehicles. So this proposed alignment would avoid that issue as well.
Right. I think, yeah, I'm having a hard time with it too. And it, Ed's point to the trail, the stone dust trail ending at the curve there, and then for the time being, since this future seems uncertain on the connection with Center Trail, allowing the use, just to connect at that point, and people can come down the Field 11 kind of gravel road. I don't remember. I'm sure it does get chained off at times. I don't remember seeing it chained off when I go by, but I think there probably is room to look at, where people could walk around, or you could formalize a path kind of around the chained off section to get to the sidewalk, if that's an issue.
Well, in terms of the overall intent of the project, changing that route would not defeat it. Of the current project, in the future, that may be another matter. I can't say that I'm in a position to speak for the Trails Committee in terms of how the committee would feel about that. Again, I'm not even on the committee anymore. I am a volunteer, but that is something that the committee would have to consider. But if the commission were to feel that that was a critical point, then so be it.
Okay. I think at this point it is, if the committee could convene on that.
Yeah.
We don't have a DEP number anyway, so we can't vote on it tonight.
Right.
So if you don't mind taking that feedback to the
Yes.
committee, and we can continue this to the next meeting and see what they have to say. That makes sense. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Are there, looking forward to the next meeting, are there any other issues that you think we should be ready to address?
Does anyone else have any issues?
No other issues.
No.
No. I mean, I think my suggestion would be when you go back to the committee, frame it in a way that, we're not entirely opposed to the Stone Dust Path at some point down the road, but at this point in time, given the unknowns, it seems to be a better use of the existing gravel path to accomplish their goals while saving some construction costs on a potential connection that may or may not occur in the future.
Well, we appreciate the comment that it will save some construction costs. Yes, thank you. Okay.
Melissa, do you want to just make sure there's no one from the public who wants
Yeah, that's a good call, Ted. Does anyone from the public on the line have any comments or questions on this one? No. Okay, and our next meeting is November 25th. In person. Does that give you enough time to go back to the committee and get feedback, or do you want to push it out a couple?
Yes, yeah,
Yes, okay.
certainly. And hopefully by then we will have a file number.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Can I get a motion to continue this to the 25th?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, Ed,
Aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I'm also an aye. All right. Thank you, Mr. Dauchi.
Thank you. Okay, good night.
Good night. All right. Next up, we have 75 South Street. Notice of intent continuation on the boring remediation work. Judy, can you give us an update?
Sure, through the chair. So this is, again, a notice of intent to conduct borings, soil remediation, and install monitoring wells within a parking lot at 75 South Street related to a past hazardous material release. At the last meeting, there was just a few outstanding comments that we've received responses to from the applicant. So they have addressed the question of whether the work qualifies as a limited project. It appears that it does, but since there's no work within the wetland resources, that doesn't really necessarily change the outcome of any decisions made. Since they aren't proposing any alteration, there isn't an expectation for replication. Additionally, the applicant has added PIBs along the main BBW where most of the work is going to be. Initially, they were just down in the south side of the property, but they've added additional PIBs along this parking lot here. We can confirm that the applicant has paid the additional town portion of the state filing fee that the commission determined was needed to cover each of the monitoring wells being installed. We do have a DEP number, and they didn't have any substantive comments. And I believe the outstanding items to discuss are if the commission is happy with the placement of the PIBs, and I believe it was discussed at the last meeting, but the applicant is not proposing formal invasive species management as part of this scope of work. And I believe Joe had comments that were largely addressed, but if he has anything additional, I would turn it over to him.
Okay. Joe Orzal, do you have anything to add?
Really nothing to add. I think Judy covered everything pretty well. My only remaining comments, I think, were that the Conservation Commission confirmed the receipt of the additional fees, which was just confirmed, and as mentioned, whether any invasive species management needs to be discussed. Everything else that has been adequately addressed.
Okay. So is that 3 PIB markers that were added? Is that right? 3. Okay. Yep. Those look fine to me, I think. Does anyone have any comments on the PIB markers? Appreciate that they were added. And then the invasives management. Do we want to talk about that at all? I was of the opinion that I think I'm okay, being that this is kind of restoration type work, not new development. I know that Judy, you provided educational materials to the applicant, correct? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Ed, I know you had other thoughts, felt
Yeah,
feelings on this
okay.
one. So please share if anyone else wants to chime in.
Not exactly related, but I was taking down turtle signs today and came across a bittersweet climbing up a tree, and the trunk of the bittersweet was as big around as my wrist.
I've seen bigger ones somehow.
Oh, I have seen bigger ones. This was just an observation of the day.
Yep. No, it's definitely an issue for people to be aware of, and management on the property is important, but I guess whether it's tied to this particular project work.
Through the chair, with apologies to Ed and gratitude for all the work Ed does with invasives. I think I'm in line with you, Melissa.
Okay. Anyone from the public have any comments or questions on this? Nope. All right, let's go ahead and take a vote then. Can I get a motion to approve this application with signatures by Judy and Anna?
I'm not going to wait for Ed to make that motion on approval, so I'll go ahead and do it.
I'll second. I'm going to do that to the second.
All right, all in favor, Ed?
Well, all this abuse, I think I'll go last.
Okay. Ted?
I'll approve.
Okay.
Ted is also an aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And I am also an aye. All right, these guys are all set.
Great, well, thank you.
Welcome. All right, next up we have Wall Street Development, 12 North Mill Street. Notice of intent, continuation for the single family house. We did have a site walk out on this property since our last meeting. Jim, myself, Ed, we're out there along with Mr. Petrosi. Mr. Petrosi, do you want to give an update, or do you have, did you provide additional or new plans, documentation?
Well,
I didn't see it in the file.
hi.
Hey,
How are you? Everybody good?
we're
So,
good.
yeah, so since we walked the site a couple of weeks ago, I did revise this plan based on what I believe to be the least impactful area where any BVW filling would occur. So I moved the location of the proposed well in, and this is the alternative that I think we were talking about in terms of the least vegetation for filling BVW. We also talked about locating some trees, but I was on, I think my, in the past, the trees 10-inch diameter or greater, but then I talked with Judy. Judy thought it was 4 inches, and that seemed a little bit about a little overkill. So I thought we'd talk about that tonight to see what the preference would be to have us go out there and get a sort of an assessment of what kind of trees would be out there taken out. And also I think there was a general consensus that we should try to do this in the front portion of the lot with the house and stake the house out. And I also, so this plan that's on the screen right now is kind of the best alternative that we're looking at for this particular property. I did also do the research on the conservation restriction that's on the adjoining property. And I did provide a copy of that today, and sort of blew up their plan that shows the location of this property in relationship to the other properties that are already under the conservation restriction. So that's pretty much it. I think what we'd like to do is locate the trees for the commission and stake out the box of where the house would go, and stake out the location of the well, proposed well, in the area that we're proposing to fill, and then come back at your next meeting and sort of get the feeling of the commission, what we should do next.
Okay. So feedback on size of trees for tree count. I think what we've done in the past on past projects, I believe it has been a 4-inch diameter. I think the one over on Lumber, they got all trees even below 4 inch. Is that right, Judy?
I believe the one on 0 West Main, 30 West Main counted all trees. I'm not totally sure about Lumber. But the 30 West Main single family home proposal flagged all trees and then just bucketed by DBH. So it's like 0 to 12. Yeah.
So when you say count them, are you just going out there in the field and counting them, or I was talking about actually going out there and field locating the substantial trees, putting them on a plan. So I don't know if we're talking about the same parameter, I guess. I mean, it's easier to go out there and count them, but if you want to see them on a plan and actually have survey of what size each tree is, we would do that. But I think 4 inches, down to 4 inches would be, almost locating every tree on the property in that particular location. So,
yeah. Do you recall, Judy, on West Main? Did we do a survey?
No, they just counted them.
They counted them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to create some consistency. I think, let's see, not on anything scientific, but I'm thinking 4 inches and greater identified on the plan.
So may I make a suggestion? How about if we count all of the trees and we locate by survey only the ones that are 10 inches or greater?
10 inches and greater.
But we count all of them, like, from a physical standpoint, a numerical standpoint, but locate the ones that are the substantial ones. It's not a lot of them out there, but I think.
No, there weren't. Yeah, they were mostly smaller. Does anyone have any thought? Go ahead, Judy.
Yeah, I mean, they could just within the limit of work, I think is reasonable. Now that, there's one plan that's being proposed, doesn't necessarily have to be the full property, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, the object here is not to have to cross the wetlands with any kind of disturbance. And, but I'm happy to go out there and count all the trees and just locate the ones that are the substantial ones, the 10 inches or greater.
Do others on the commission agree with that approach? Will that provide enough information to evaluate the alternative or evaluate the proposal?
My only comment is that we should standardize, excuse me, through the chair, my only comment is we should standardize what the heck we're counting.
Okay, I think we're going to do that now, Ed. Okay, so you're good with that, Matt, Jim, Ted. Okay, thumbs up.
So, like I said earlier, the other thing that I provided was a copy of the conservation restriction. I think I discussed previously that under this proposal, we would be putting a conservation restriction that's similar to this particular restriction. I haven't read through it entirely, but it's quite a lengthy document, like 18 pages. But so what we're talking about in lieu of replication, we're talking about segmenting the back portion of the property adjoining this other property in the back that has a conservation easement on top of already. And that would be the substitution for replication.
Okay.
And then,
yeah, no, thanks for providing that documentation. I think something that we just need to look into as a commission, maybe you could look into it on your end as well, is to just confirm and be sure that that's an acceptable per the act to allow conservation restriction instead of wetland replication, if that's allowable, or if the act specifically says that you need to replace wetland.
I've really never had come across this situation before.
Yes, Matt.
My recollection of the act is that 1-to-1 mitigation is required at a minimum.
Okay.
Through the chair, this is Ed.
Yes, Ed.
Is there a way that we can avoid requiring this fill? I mean, this fill is because someone says that there's got to be X many feet between the leaching field, et cetera. And I'm sorry, it's in this particular case, I would describe that as Well, I won't say it, but you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, so the reason for the filling of the wetland on this scenario is the distance between the septic and the wetland requirement. That's correct, Mr. Petrosi. That's why we're filling there,
Yes,
not
yes.
just for grading or anything.
No,
Yeah.
specifically to meet that requirement.
Yeah.
And through the chair, I do understand that, and I'm saying, is there a way that we can
Avoid it.
not require that?
Right.
The other thing, I'm looking at the plan right now, there may be an opportunity to replicate in that corner on the closer to the, I don't know what side that is, but on the driveway side in that corner there, I'll have to look out. I think we'd still be able to replicate and still be 50 feet away. But let me explore that a little bit deeper and see what the options are.
Through the chair.
Okay. Yes, Judy.
The regs for Hopkinton do require 1.5 to 1 ratio for replication, so it's a little higher than the state requirements to keep in mind as you're exploring replication.
Yeah, but but because we're under 5,000 square feet, it's actually a discretionary. It's a discretionary kind of decision on the part of the board. I mean, so, but let's look at it a little bit closer. I would hate to have to cross the wetlands to do replication. It would be, it would be a temporary crossing of the wetland to get to do replication, but it would be crossing. So I just don't think that it would be practical to try and do that, although we can do it.
Yeah, no, I think if you can look into a few scenarios there, sharpen the pencils on that one. I have said in the past too, I just
because
hate to do replication when we're taking down.
Yeah, the two purple areas there only are about 1,000 square feet. So to the extent that I can squeeze it, squeeze it in on that right side of the property, I'll try to do that, and then it'll be up to the commission, I guess, to decide whether or not they want the extra 500 feet somewhere else. Something along those lines, I guess.
Right. Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes, Matt.
Can you help me understand the need for the wetland filling to the left there? I see some grading, but
So on the you're talking on the left side where the purple is?
Yeah, not the well, the other area.
Yeah, so we're just trying to. We have to keep 50 feet away from the septic system from a wetland, and then we need to be 100 feet away from the septic system with the well.
Okay, so the corner of that septic system to the existing wetland is less than 50 feet?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tight one. Okay, is that all?
Through the chair.
Yep, Judy.
Just wanted to bring up a couple of things that were discussed at the last hearing for this project, in case they got lost in the shuffle with the alternatives. So Melissa, you had said you want the potential vernal pool as well as the 125-foot vernal pool habitat line added to the whatever is the proposed plan. So I'm not seeing that on this plan, if that can be added.
Yeah, the 125 foot is on this plan.
So it says 100 foot, so it's 125.
Well, again, I think I mentioned that in your bylaw, it has two different parameters. One is jurisdictional, only 100 feet. So I think you really, as I mentioned, I think the bylaw needs a little bit of, you need to look at it a little bit more closely.
Yeah, I did look at this over the past week, and I'm actually going to go over it later in the meeting. What our bylaw says about the vernal pools and buffers and whatnot. But technically, and per the ANRAD that was approved and what is written in the bylaw, there's a couple places that clarify buffer versus vernal pool habitat. And so the vernal pool habitat is 125 feet. So it's not a buffer. It's the actual, what the bylaw categorizes as potential vernal pool habitat is from the vernal pool flags 125 feet out. So on the ANRAD, it has 125-foot PVP boundary line. It's not called a buffer. So
Well,
that's what we're.
Yeah,
we're
no,
looking for.
I'm happy to put it on the plan. I think obviously if we don't need to approach that, if we're going to proceed along this wetland, along this alternative of trying not to cross the wetlands to do any work, that becomes a moot point, really. So, I don't, at that point, we don't care whether you make it 100 feet or 200 feet at that point. So,
yeah, no, for this particular plan we're looking at, right, it doesn't impact the area that's being proposed, but just if we could get the line to match the ANRAD for consistency, that'd be great.
and anything else, Judy, or?
Yeah, Matt had asked when there were still multiple alternatives for a breakdown of buffer zone and resource area impacts. So if Matt, you still want like a table for the alternative selected on what exactly the proposed resource and buffer impacts are.
I think we're down to one plan at this point. It's a bit of a moot point. My request was more when we were considering or evaluating multiple alternatives. So I think if this is the proposed plan, we're good.
All right. And then last, there's a suite of comments from Joe and DEP that haven't been formally responded to. So it's commonplace to get a response for both the consultant and DEP comments.
Well, I think Joe mentioned that most of those comments applied to the original plan that was filed, not any of the alternatives that he hadn't reviewed any of the alternatives at that point. So I'm happy to take a look at those comments, but I think for the most part, if this alternative is the one we're going to proceed with, those comments also really don't apply to this, wouldn't necessarily apply to this plan. So, but I'll take a look at those, and if there's an answer required, we'll certainly provide it.
Okay.
So for the next meeting, I will get the area, the house staked out, the trees counted, the major trees located, put on a plan, and I'll check into the possibility of replication, primarily not to cross the wetlands, but we'll deal with how much we can get in compliance with the regulations. So.
Right. Yep.
I don't know that I'll be able to get all that stuff done in the next 2 weeks. So when do you have a first meeting in December?
December 16th.
Sure.
Okay. Can I get a motion to continue this out to December 16th?
Let's continue both of those. Do we have the two hearings, the one with the other one? So.
Okay, both 12 North Mill.
So moved.
So move. I'll second.
All right, all in favor, Ed? Ted?
Ted is an aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And I'm also an aye.
Great. Thanks a lot. Have a nice Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in December.
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, that completes our hearing, so we'll move back down to work session items. Whisper Way truck accident discussion. Judy, you want to fill everyone in on this? may have heard the highlights in the newspaper, but
Sure. Through the chair, happy to give an overview, and we also have the nations and Mark Arnold on the Zoom if they have anything to add. But last Thursday, we heard from Mark that a truck had gone off the road leading to the Whisper Way subdivision and dumped a load of asphalt millings into the wetland that flows out of a vernal pool on the other side of the road. So not in the vernal pool, nothing was going into that side or flowing into that side, but did impact a wetland on the other side. So we came out after the truck was removed, saw a ton of work going on to remove the material from the wetland by hand before the rain hit, since we got a lot of rain that night. And they had also installed erosion controls around the area of the spill to prevent anything from getting downstream. Definitely acted quickly. We're in really good communication with us. I don't believe there was any sort of lasting damage or anything they could have done differently in this case, but just wanted to have them present what happened to the commission. If they'd like any feedback on anything else you would all like to see. And they also prepared a report with pictures before, after the cleanup had happened.
all right, thanks, Judy. Mr. Arnold, do you want to?
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
spiel?
Yeah, just to add to what Judy said, just to make sure that yeah, so you can see here on the screen that Judy's sharing now, you can see figure 1 is is a sketch that we provided, just giving an approximation of what happened. So this is actually the as-built of the crossing that was built. This is the common driveway. This is not the Whisper Way subdivision roadway. It's the common driveway for 2 lots. So this is a common driveway. We had crossed this location where there was an old crossing, widened it out slightly, added controlled pipes to maintain the vernal pool elevation, which has been working well. And so the truck fell over on the downstream side, thankfully, and not the upstream side, so the vernal pool was not impacted. Nations were very quick to contact us. We got on site very quickly, got erosion controls in place, used equipment with a lot of shoveling of the asphalt millings into the equipment to get it out as quickly as possible. And as you go down these photographs, you'll see what we did. So the first photograph is this is from 2023. And just to show you, this is what it looked like originally. We had a pretty thick vegetation along the toe of this the riprap slope there, a lot of sweet pear bushes, stuff like that. A lot of that vegetation along the edge of the riprap was actually just pushed over by the dump truck because it fell, and the side of the dump truck fell on the vegetation. So when the truck came up, that vegetation kind of popped back up, and you'll see that in the photographs. And the area that was really damaged was just beyond that, which in this photograph you can see it actually is a little less thick. You can see it actually gets less thickened vegetation, more a little open. The stream was very kind of braided in that location, more hummocky, some exposed rocks, etc. So as you walk through these photos, Judy's gonna just flip through now. You can see this is the accident as it had occurred. There's the truck that came over. We did have some damage to the bark of that red maple that was hit. Structurally, the tree looks okay. Didn't have any issues from the windstorm the last few days, which is great. So we're hoping that the tree can recover there. Otherwise, everything else that was damaged was basically some shrubs and herbaceous. So as you go down these photographs, you'll see this is kind of the erosion controls. There's the asphalt millings. Most of it has been removed in this photograph, but you can still see the kind of the extent of where they had been spread over to. Most of the vegetation in this area was like sweet pear bush, high bush blueberry, and just herbaceous. And just keep going, Judy, if you want to just slowly go through the next set here. So just another shot of the millings. You can see here in this photograph here how there's still kind of a vegetated strip between the riprap and the impact because the truck had fallen over that and protected that kind of strip area, which is good to at least provide some protection along the edge as things restore from what we've done. And then just keep going down. So another picture here, you can see there's the culverts coming out of the crossing there. And then the next set of photographs should show after the millings are removed. So there was some soil removed as part of the removal of the millings because we needed to make sure we got the millings all out. We didn't want to leave them impressed into the soil at all. So we worked hard. So there was a little bit of topsoil removed. We tried to preserve as much as we could, but there was a little bit scraped out because of just ensuring that we got the millings out rather than leaving them in. This wasn't like sand or gravel that could be left a little bit could be left on the surface and it would impact the soils. So we did have to take the ad out. But overall, pretty minimal impacts otherwise. Again, a lot of hand shoveling work here by the crews and ourselves. Another picture here, photo 7, just showing the where the stream comes out into that area. And then you'll see the next set of photographs are going to show what we did afterwards. So this is now showing, you're starting to see some green in this photograph. And then so those are, we planted 2 willows. Well, let me pull up what we actually put in there. So we found a pocket of wet vegetation that was coming up inside the subdivision, outside the buffer zone, just from activities and stuff like that over the years. And we were able to transplant 2 willows, 3 high bush blueberry, 2 white pine, 5 sensitive fern, 2 royal fern, some goldenrod, hop sedge, and rushes into this area. So you can see the white pines on the left side there, kind of on the drier part. We've got ferns and high bush blueberry and willow in the middle there. So just trying to restore some of the vegetation that was there that was damaged, just to kind of give this area a little bit of a boost of life. Although this was an accident, not deliberate, just trying to do our best to figure out how we can restore as quickly as possible. So the next photograph will also show some of that greenery going in there. So those were all scattered throughout. I was able to get a little bit of hop sedge seed, which I did spread as well, underneath on any areas we had soil exposed. And then after that, we did spread about a good thick layer of leaves, pretty thick as loose leaves, and then they'll settle down. We did it pretty heavily for 2 reasons. 1, to make sure we had good erosion control. 2 was also to help quickly accelerate soil regeneration within the area by adding organic matter, basically by letting leaf matter work and process over the winter, which will build up your soil matter in the springtime. And so that was our intention there. We left the erosion controls in place, and then you'll see the next set of photographs are actually taken the day after the accident, after 1.2 inches of rain. We went back out after the storm to see how everything was working. Did we see any shifting of sheens? Did we see any oil sheens? Did we see any sediment? Did we see any movement? Anything else? Is the water clear? And so everything was nice and clean, no sheens, nothing was seen downstream. So it seems like we got everything kind of pretty much out and mobilized, and any type of erosion immobilized. So at this point, we don't think we need more erosion controls. Everything seems to be pretty stabilized. Again, the leaves are really doing a good job at just providing that natural erosion there. And so that's what happened here. We did provide again some general numbers, again just for clarity. So there's about 230 square feet of BVW that was impacted, about 375 square feet of the stream bed, 25 feet of bank. Again, this was all an accident. This was not deliberate with machinery operator just going off the reservation, anything like that. It was just a vehicle that happened to be out at night, early morning, and I think just misjudged the edge of the asphalt and went off. So we hope that this matter can be resolved without any further enforcement. The Goddard will still be on the property for at least another 6 months or so, doing monitoring for the replication area for the back crossing and stuff like that. So we'll continue to keep an eye on this area because we know what happened, and we hope that we don't have to do anything else in terms of compliance with this commission, but we wanted to make sure you were aware of what happened and to be upfront.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation and for jumping on this so quickly. It looks like you definitely took care of it in a timely manner. Appreciate that. Does anyone on the commission have any questions?
Hi, Melissa. I just have a quick question, but I think Mark answered it right at the end in his summative statement, if I may.
Yes, sure.
Mark, it was a little unclear to me what crossing this was, whether it was the one that we approved a couple of years ago. But it sounds like when you said you're going to be there looking at the back crossing, this is on what I might refer to as the driveway that had been there a long time. Is that where this crossing is? The one that kind of runs parallel to 135?
This is the crossing that was behind 129 Wood Street, the old house that was taken down. This is the crossing near 495.
Okay.
If I can share my screen, I actually have an aerial shot.
That would be helpful to me.
So let me see. And here we go. Perfect. Here we go. All right. So this is the crossing that was. So here's the aerial. Here's 495 here. I'm going northbound. Here's Wood Street. Here's that driveway that came up to the house. The house was right in here.
Okay.
The driveway's been narrowed up here. We've got reforestation area in here. This is that crossing, that common driveway, so it's nice and narrow. And the incident happened right here where my cursor's showing.
Okay.
That's what it occurred.
And the hearings we had a few years ago are further south along that road.
Correct.
Right, okay.
The hearings you had, are south, are down this direction about 1,000 feet.
Okay. All right. I just wanted some clarity on where it was.
And that's the site that we don't have a certificate of compliance yet. So we are monitoring the replication area, which is over in this area right here, and the crossing. So hopefully we'll be getting as-built together, and then closing that out in the springtime.
Thank you. That was my only question, trying to figure out where it was.
Great question.
Oh, thank you.
So do you think in the springtime when you're going to close that stuff out is when the erosion controls would potentially be moved for this incident?
I think we can remove them now. I don't like the idea of leaving the mulch wattles with the plastic mesh in those locations over the winter. Just because I don't like them being left long-term, particularly in a wet area like that, because they can get entangled very quickly into vegetation growth. So just that's my preference. And I think from a stabilization standpoint, I don't expect there to be a problem. However, if you wanted us to leave it there, say until Christmas time, I don't think the nations would have a problem leaving it there for another month, just to let anything else that does want to move down potentially get to the wattle, and the wattle can absorb anything, and then we could pull it out then. So we're really at your pleasure as to when you want us to remove those controls. I think we can remove them now, but if you wanted us to leave them there a little longer, just for natural settling of things in the next month, I think that would be fine as well.
No, I think as soon as it's stable, or if it's stable, that's fine. I was more concerned about the back end, not having them be there forever, and making sure that they were out before, it would be something we would look for to have them removed before anything else gets approved in the future. Be on the checklist. So,
absolutely, yeah, we would. Yeah, knowing that I was personally there for everything, so I knowing that it's there, I would definitely make sure the nations pulled it out, just because I know how sensitive it is, particularly in that location. So, what I think we'll do is we'll keep it there for a few weeks, and then we'll follow up with the nations probably around Thanksgiving or just after that, and pull them out. So that way, we let nature settle down a little bit more with some more rainstorms, and then pull it then.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. Anyone else have questions?
Through the chair, this is Ed.
Yes, Ed.
You don't want to disappoint. Firstly, I want to thank Nations et al. For their quick response to this. I am incredibly impressed. And I'd like to go back to the original presentation, to a particular page, which will have to go down until the page comes up and I say stop. Right there, stop, up a little, right there. See the helmet?
Yep.
Did you get the guy out, or is he lost?
Climate change.
That's all for me.
Yeah, nobody was hurt, thankfully.
I had my steel-toed muck boots on, Ed.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you. I think we're all set. Yeah, just keep us posted.
And just a note to the commission, we did submit some supplemental information for the certificate of compliance for the whole subdivision. to the staff today. They're reviewing that, and it should be in your files shortly if it isn't already. And we look forward to having that discussion at the November 25th hearing.
Okay. And just to note, we are in person on the 25th.
That sounds. Nope, that sounds great. I like in-person meetings. So.
Okay, good.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
We'll see you then. All right. Next up, we have Hopkinton Historical Society. This was the request for certificate of compliance. We talked about this in the last meeting, and Judy was nice enough to go out and do a review for this project. So Judy, you want to go through what you found?
Sure, through the chair. For my first COC review, if anyone has any feedback, let me know. But I put together a memo that's in the public folder covering the work approved, reported deviations from the applicant, which included area disturbed between the building and the brush line at the northwest building corner. So that's up here, being a little bit wider than approved. They reported that the rear sump pump is being discharged by a separate pipe to the stone splash pad, and the left front quadrant of roof runoff couldn't be connected as approved, so it's being redirected to the splash pad at the back of the property here. So just straight back. Also noted from our site visit, the site is stable, but the erosion controls are still out there, so those should all be removed. There's also leftover wattle stockpile. It's outside of jurisdiction, but probably best to have that removed. We obviously couldn't observe the foundation drain and the subsurface features, but these were affirmed by the engineer through the COC request. We did observe the surface sort of visible features in relatively their approved locations. Except for a few minor discrepancies. So the new asphalt walkway south of the building. So this walkway here was approved to be flush with the building. And there was an existing walkway that was supposed to be gotten rid of and converted to lawn. Looks like the new walkway was just paved over that existing one. So no new disturbance. It's not any closer to the wetlands, just in a slightly different location. The approved plan also shows the Boulder PIB extending all the way to the north side of the property, but the existing PIB stops roughly flush with the building. So it stops here. It was supposed to kind of go all the way out here. And this area was also intended to be treated for invasives and be a restoration area, but that kind of remains tangled with invasives. So this area was not treated as approved. So I think that's something for you all to discuss if you'd like to see the PIB extended and the invasives in that area dealt with. We did observe there were 12 approved plantings, 6 inkberry and 6 spicebush. We saw the 6 inkberry and those seem to be doing well, but we did not observe any spicebush. So a discussion point on whether you'd like those 6 additional plantings installed after the fact. In general, the restoration area around those plantings looks like it's vegetating well. No invasives in that immediate area have grown back up. And we did see some minor landscaping debris dumped past the erosion controls near the wetland, so we've requested that that be removed, and landscapers instructed not to dump past here. Happy to answer any questions, pull up some pictures. I think that's everything I have.
Okay, thanks, Judy. All right, do we have, was this Marco Don, Dave, was this your project?
This is McIntyre, Dan
McIntyre. Are you here, Dan?
Good evening.
Hey.
I think Judy explained it quite well.
Okay. I wanted to ask if you had any feedback on that north corner or the north side, the PIB limit and the invasive management over there. Is there any backstory or on why it ended up where it is as opposed to the approved plan?
Yeah, I think the contractor just needed, more room as they excavated around that foundation for the footing drain. The equipment just couldn't fit in there, so it ended up larger there than we originally anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
But the invasives we had prepared, if you remember, we prepared an invasive control plan as part of the NOI, and that's going to be, taken over by the society members or whoever they use for a landscaper to take care of that. But that corner right there, I don't think we were going to do any invasives right there because that's actually in the wetland right there. Whereas the other invasives we took care of were more into the buffer part of the wetland. You can see the wetland line coming right up there, that's flag A9.
Yep.
So we didn't really trudge into that and start ripping out invasives.
Okay, so that corner got extended because of the machinery, so it didn't make sense. It basically doesn't exist anymore.
Well, the invasives in the buffer zone don't exist anymore because we're right up to the edge of the flag A9 there. About.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
This is the approved plan. I just pulled it up to show where the boulder's meant to wrap around sort of flush with the end of the building here. And then on the as-built, they just kind of end up here instead of coming down around. So I think it's this area that we were talking about, like in front of the wetland line.
Okay.
They would like to try to maintain that as is, just in case they have to get around the building again. Because the other side is blocked up by the ADA ramp and the walkway to the handicap parking space. The reason that asphalt walk gets shifted a little bit is because the previous ADA ramp that we had to take out in order to excavate around the foundation, we were going to put it back to the same dimension, but we found out that it was not ADA compliant. So we had to actually make that ramp a little bit longer, which pushed the asphalt walk out further from the building. So there's really no longer access around that corner of the building. They had to get back behind the building.
Okay. Can you bring up that picture again, Judy, that kind of shows where that brush line is? So the question is whether the rock the rock PIB line or medallions or something should extend further along where the erosion controls are. That's the question, or that's what's missing.
We could certainly bring in more rocks. They ran out of rocks to do this, but I think at this point we'd probably do more damage bringing in the rocks than worth it. Considering this is not a residential home where people are living here every day, and you have the possibility of encroachments of trying to people get their lawn to be bigger.
Mm-hmm.
This is a kind of a private historical society that they're not trying to make a yard out there.
Right. Is that slope up? It looks like it slopes up, but maybe
well, this
not.
particular wetland is kind of not quite a finger-like projection, but it kind of heads up there to about that tree with all the bittersweet growing on it.
Yeah.
And then it stops as a stockade fence of the neighbors where it stops there. And then on the other side is the neighbor's yard. So it's not a big part of the well. And like I say, it's almost a finger-like projection heading up there.
Mhm. Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes, Ted.
I think Dan is right that we often worry about lawn creep from a homeowner, but we also worry about lawn clippings or yard waste being put into the wetlands. And I imagine I'm trying to picture the front of the Historical Society building, and there's not much lawn at all, my memory, but I can't picture the backyard. If there is landscaping going on, it would give me a little pause if we didn't have some indication that there shouldn't be any dumping of yard waste over there where the erosion controls eventually will no longer be. But if there's no lawn mowing, if there's no lawn that grows back there, that concerns me less.
Yeah, you're looking at the backyard, so there is lawn mowing there. We tried to establish a lawn between the building. You can see the river rock we put around the foundation.
Yep.
Got this grass section and then the rock PIVs. So I don't know what that is, 15 feet of lawn there.
Yeah, maybe we need another medallion. Maybe it doesn't have to be rock.
Yeah, we could put up one or two either pressure treated posts or metal posts right there with the medallions on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and I may be okay with this, but I think that we're also moving that line of PIBs closer to the wetland from the plan that Judy showed us. So it seems to me it's a two-piece discussion. Do we want more PIBs? And if I'm reading the plan correctly, are we comfortable pushing them closer to the wetland than the plan shows? I think is what's going on.
I think it is. I think you're right, Ted. We are, by putting them along the erosion control line, we're putting the PIB line closer. But I appreciate what Dan says that if they want to be able to get back in that area, this now kind of has become the only way to do that.
I get that too. I just
ramp,
want to be sure it's clear that we know what we're all talking about.
Yeah. I think I'm okay with it if we just put a couple more medallions at that brush line. In my opinion. Certainly open to others. And then the 6 missing plantings. Dan, do you know what was going on with those?
Yeah, I talked to Jeff. Jeff Diana did all the work for us. He planted those bushes. And we think we found one of those, but we're not sure what happened to them, whether they died or they got eaten, or we're really not sure. But it does look, that buffer area that we planted with the wetland seed mix looks like it really came in nice.
Okay.
Through the chair, those missing plantings, those are the bittersweet.
They're the bittersweet. The bittersweet took them, or?
Oh, come on, people. You got to laugh. I'm trying desperately to put some humor into this.
I got it, Ed. I got it.
Thank you.
So those are the ones that the 6 surviving plants.
Right. Yeah, so these are the inkberries. And then we saw a little flag on like a nightshade, but it was definitely no spice bush out here.
Is that what we flagged, the nightshade?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. They're all over my garden.
Okay. So I think we need the other 6 plants. If the kind that were planted just didn't survive because they're not a good fit, maybe we pick a different type of plant. That'd be okay with me.
Well, obviously we'll defer to your good judgment, but just by looking at that picture, I think the buffer zone is really looks pretty good.
It looks stable.
It's only been one season. I I think if we just let it go and maintain the invasives with the spot roundup applications twice a year as indicated in the hazard and the invasive species report. I think overall it's an improvement on what was there.
Okay, does anyone have any thoughts on this replication or this mitigation? Particularly Ed, this is your
Yeah, my point, the only good invasive is a dead one.
And it takes years to do that. So the society members have to be conscious about going out there every year and doing those spot applications.
Mm-hmm.
I am painfully aware. And that's why when we cut them some slack, we pay for it later. There's no way but a full court press, and we're not doing it.
Yeah, and we can only deal with that, 10-foot of buffer zone between the rocks and the silt fence there. Once we get beyond that, we're onto somebody else's property, and we're actually in the well back there. So I don't think this historical society is going to go in there and start wholesale invasive species management.
Okay. So if nothing else, we would like to get those 2 additional PIB medallions on the north side there at the erosion control line, and we'll need to have the erosion controls removed at this point because everything looks stable. And we've been really kind of digging our heels in on getting those erosion controls removed before we approve a certificate of compliance.
Understood.
Yeah.
We're trying to get Jeff back there, but
okay.
Removing erosion control is not on a contractor's high priority list, but we're pushing them.
Oh, we know. We know.
Through the chair.
Yes, Judy.
If you're not requiring, additional plantings or invasives management, if it's just the additional medallions and the erosion controls, you could always vote to approve the COC, and we can hold on to it until we confirm those items have been met.
Okay. Does anyone oppose to that suggestion? If not, then I would take a motion to approve with signatures by Judy or Anna and holding off on the COC until we get those 2 items addressed.
I like that plan. I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, Ed?
Aye.
Ed?
Ed is an aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And I'm also an aye.
All right, we'll get on that, but thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I'm happy to report that the overall project was a success. The basement is dry now, and they can store material down there, all their artifacts, without getting all damp and moldy. So
Good. That's they've definitely been tested with some of the rain we have, I'm sure.
Thank
Good
you.
to hear. All right. Next up, we have 10 Exchange Street. Returning from a violation discussion. All right. Judy, I guess do you want to kick this one off, or?
Sure. Through the chair, I can give a quick overview, and we've also got Dave Marquardon and the property owner on the line too.
Okay.
But when we last talked about this enforcement issue, the commission had asked for a wetland delineation to be confirmed by Joe. So we had the original delineation that showed BBW on the south side of the property, a ditch that kind of runs through the BBW, riverfront and bank flags across the street, past Exchange Street. And originally there was one isolated vegetated wetland behind the existing garage. When Joe went out to meet the applicant's wetland scientist, they found an additional IVW just north of the garage, sort of between the garage and the driveway here. So that's been added to a plan with the associated buffer zone. The original kind of restoration and original planting plan hasn't been updated since this additional wetland and buffer zone was added to the plan. So the stumps are shown in these black circles, and then the proposed plantings are the colored dots and colored circles with a legend on the right side of the plan here. So I think discussion on what you all would like to see with additional wetland impacts being found on the property in terms of that restoration and planting plan. And then there's also originally PIBs proposed along the one IBW if those should be moved or additional added to account for the additional wetlands found. So happy to turn it over to Dave or Padma, or even Joe, if Joe, you have any additional comments on the delineation that you reviewed.
Okay, yeah, let's go to Joe for a minute just to talk about the delineation while we're on that topic.
Yeah, sure. So I met with Scott Heim, the applicant's wetland consultant. We reviewed the existing delineations, made several revisions to the existing flags. And as Judy mentioned, we did discover that there was another isolated wetland, and that was delineated. So I've reviewed the revised plan and in agreement with the delineations as shown in the plan. I have not gone into any detail on reviewing the mitigation plan at this point, but I can say that the delineation on the plan looks accurate at this time.
Okay. All right, then I'll jump over now to Dave.
As Joe had said, the wetlands have been agreed to, riverfront across the street. As Judy had mentioned, the restoration plan was developed by Scott Heim. It's exactly the same as it was on the previous plan. We wanted to get some feedback on the plantings, and we thought we would make all the changes at the same time. Scott had tried to incorporate all the plantings in and around the existing stumps. The hope is that that the stumps would regenerate, and the intention is to leave the stumps, and hopefully it's at some point they would reestablish themselves. But with respect to the two isolated wetlands, we realize that we need a few more plantings in both of those because the sizes have increased. But we wanted to come tonight to explain where we're at and get some guidance to the plantings.
Okay. Quick question on the stumps, the black circles that show the stumps. There's some that are just circles, and there's some that have a plus sign or an X in them.
Yeah. So what we developed, the black stumps is we numbered them, and then on the left-hand side of the page there's a chart as to the approximate size and type. So we have the I think the 79 that are numbered, more than that, but 79 that are inside the jurisdiction, 7 that haven't been numbered. But we wanted to, there's a number sign there with a symbol corresponding to the type of tree.
Okay. And is there any reason why, I don't know, Judy, if you can zoom in, why some of them have a different icon than others? So like the one, oh, is it just whether it's
So
within
the black
wetland?
the black ones are existing, the stumps, and the colored ones are proposed plantings, trees and shrubs at
Yeah.
that location.
But so the stumps, some of them have like an X inside of them. I don't know if you can point to one, Judy. So 49 and 50, one of them has a plus sign in it, one of them doesn't.
Yeah.
Is there any, does that mean anything?
No, it does not. It just,
Okay.
it was probably just like an AutoCAD symbol that indicated the location of where we got the stump location itself. So
Okay.
there's nothing associated
Okay.
with that.
Okay, thanks. All right. Okay, so we're looking for feedback on the plantings and then to talk about this new wetland, which I think probably there should be discussion around the PIB that's proposed
Mhm.
and how that might change or would change with a new wetland on the plan.
Yep.
Because we'll have to incorporate that
Yep.
as well. Joe, you said, Joe Orzel, you did not look at the plantings yet. Is that what you
Correct.
said?
I have not reviewed the mitigation plan in any detail yet.
Okay. So we'll definitely need some feedback from Joe on the plantings. Can you give Dave just like a high level on the calculation of how many new plantings are proposed compared to trees cut?
Yep. So I count 86 trees cut, and we're providing 32 to be planted, trees to be planted, and 28 shrubs to be planted, is what we have on the plan currently.
Okay. And that's 86 cut in buffer.
Yes. Yep.
Some of
And
those might be in wetland as well.
yes, correct. Yep. It doesn't include anything over by the house. Judy, is it possible just to, yeah, right there. Yep. A lot of those I thought were fairly small. And every time we go out and take a look, it seems to be, that area seems to be thriving. So we didn't add that to the total.
Okay.
The ones right adjacent to the house, and then just below the house, right there against the wall, those little 4 that are right there were not included, but the rest of them are inside the buffer and riverfront.
So everything in the 50 is included in the count?
Yep, and the 100, yep. And the 200 riverfront, except for around the house.
Okay. Yes, Judy.
Yeah, I'm just seeing a couple more that aren't numbered. So this one, these two here, the 9-inch, the 22-inch.
Yep.
So were those included in the count? Are you saying the ones by
Yes.
the house, that these are the only ones that you didn't count up?
No, I stated earlier, we had 79 that were numbered and 7 that weren't. So that's part of the 7 that weren't, a total of 86.
I might recommend to the commission that these be counted just because that's the bulk of the riverfront disturbance, but ultimately.
Yeah, we'll number those. Yep.
right. I guess I want to open it up to the commission on thoughts, initial thoughts. Obviously, we need Joe's feedback on planting plan. But as far as the number of trees and shrubs we would be looking for in this situation, given that 86, so 86 cut, and there's so 60, 32 trees and 28 shrubs being proposed for
60.
planting.
Yep.
60 total.
Through the chair.
Yes, Ted.
Dave, just to clarify, please, I think I heard you say the hope is that the stumps will be left there, hoping that shoots grow out of them and they become trees again. Is that what I understood?
That is correct. Yep.
So I guess then I have two comments. One is a question for the commission and or Judy. Is I don't think we've ever taken that into account as replication, and I don't know if we can or should. But I also don't know how often that's successful. Maybe it's successful 98% of the time. I have no idea how often trees successfully resprout and become healthy again if they're chopped down to stumps. Do you have a sense of that, Dave, or Joe, or anybody?
Well, we weren't using the trees with the sprouts, hopefully resprouting, as part of a total as restoration.
Okay.
Scott has seen in the past on other projects that sometimes these trees will resprout and come back to life. We're not counting these 86 trees as part of our restoration. That's not the point.
Okay.
That's not the point. You can see with the black circles, it's pretty congested.
Yeah.
So we're not looking to take out the stumps and create more of a ruckus.
Right.
We're hoping to leave those. We'd like to leave those and work around those with our plantings.
Okay. So then the numbers again were 86 trees cut down, but not including that little cluster right next to the house.
That's right.
And your proposed reestablishment was, I think, 50 something combination of trees and shrubs?
60.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. It seems like a small number, but I think we have some thoughts on where wetland is going to be and things like that. But my first thought is that seems like a small number. I think I also saw, as I was about to hang up, but when Judy flashed the side of the plan, I think that there was only one tree labeled as dead of the trees that were cut down.
I think there's we have two.
Two. Okay, so I might have missed the other one. So we're talking 84 healthy trees within the resource or within the buffer zones were cleared.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a pretty
Clarifying
good
the numbers. Thanks.
pretty good range in sizes there too.
Through the chair, this is Ed.
Yes, Ed.
Don't we normally go like 1.5 to 1? Or something like that?
We do. Yeah. We do.
So we're far from that at this number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, through the chair.
Yes, Joe.
Yeah, it's not unusual to have some of the cut trees resprouting from the base. So I wouldn't be surprised that a number of those cut trees might have some sprouts that survive.
That depending on the type of tree, is it certain?
It does
tree
vary somewhat on trees. Red maple do it very well. I've got a red oak in my yard that I'm trying to get rid of that constantly resprouts. But I maybe a little bit less with the sugar maples. But I know definitely the red maples will. Elms will do that also.
Mhm.
Through the
Okay.
chair,
Yes, Ed.
was that Norway maples do that very, very well. American chestnut also does it very well, but American chestnut unfortunately doesn't survive beyond maybe 20 years.
Okay. Okay, so I think as far as giving feedback at this point in time, my feeling, I think others' feelings are is we're short here, some trees. We like to see 1.5 to 1. Understanding that that's a lot of trees, and we do want them to survive, not be over clustered either. But seems to be a little bit of a gap here.
Yep.
And then we'll need Joe to take a look as far as, types and give his feedback as well. As far as we'll need to update the plan with PIB for the isolated wetland. So I imagine that going somewhere, along the driveway. And connecting back with the PIVs that are there shown. So maybe that factors into plantings as well.
Okay.
Additional plantings.
Yep.
Anyone else have thoughts on that?
Through the chair.
Variation. Yes, Judy.
Just a couple additional notes. If you want to specify how many of the plantings you want to be trees versus shrubs, that might be a good discussion point. And there's also significant amount of knotweed on the property. So this might be a situation where you might want a invasive species management plan, monitoring periods, treatment schedule, that sort of thing.
That's a good point, Judy. As we've harped on a couple projects here, I think invasive species management can go a long way with the commission for mitigation. Would you agree, Ed, in this scenario?
I concur that there's a lot of knotweed there. And if we're going to try to eradicate knotweed, we need a multi-year plan to attempt to do it from my own unfortunate personal experience on open space.
I know we have the homeowner Padma here on the line too. I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to bring up or share.
Not really. First of all, I want to apologize for chopping the trees. The main thing was there were a lot of thorns and poison ivy. I mean, unfortunately, it was like all like creepers, and it was very scary. And I could not even like park my car, and it was. So, I mean, bottom line, it was like a forest, and I was, if it was like, because I bought this like in end of September, October, November, that was the time where it gets dark, where one of my neighbor invited me to like some Thanksgiving or some kind of a holiday. And I wanted to stay there, but I just could not because I was scared to get to my car just crossing the road. So that was very scary. So to me, like, in that dark road, I know then you would go ask me, like, why did I buy the home? Like, but I did not look at it during the night when I bought it and I fell in love with it. That's a different one. But I just don't want this very scary creepers and thorns. And I just could not even step, like, to my car. I don't want that, like, in the property, because I want to at least be able to walk to my car. And like, if I wanted to stay at a party at my neighbor's place, I should not worry about going to my car in my home to just get home. That was the scary thing. So that's, I mean, I can plant any number of trees if I have to, but I don't want that creepy forest back in my yard. Like, that's the main thing. I want the trees to be like, little bit channeled, or at least like a home. I don't want to have a forest in my home kind of thing. Scary one. That's all I have to say. Sorry. But
Yeah, no, that's okay. The overtaking characteristics of invasives, I think we would agree, Ed would agree, is very scary. Those vines and things like that. So maybe, focusing on that and working on that for invasives, because, we don't want that to overtake new plantings either and make them unsuccessful. So this might be a situation where invasives management around the property is just as important as planting the trees and making sure that, it's woods and trees that you enjoy and provide, the habitat and environment that we're looking for to protect in the wetlands. So that would be my 2 cents or takeaway as far as what to move forward with on the restoration plan, and how we can add value to that and make it something that, the commission can really jump on board with. Does that make sense, Dave?
Yeah, we'll get together with Scott and Padma, and we'll reevaluate. We've heard what the board had to say and their suggestions, so we'll go back to the drawing board a little bit and come up with a new planting plan, and reevaluate the PIB's locations, and we'll get ready to present a new plan to the board.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes, Judy.
Just because this is sort of an enforcement situation, I would recommend the commission voting for a revised enforcement order and a date when you want all of these materials by. And I think we're looking at spring for plantings at this point. So, using the winter to really get a plan ironed out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Dave, what do you think's a reasonable time frame for you all to get together and turn around a revised mitigation plan?
What would be your first meeting in December?
The 16th? I think that's, the only one we have on the calendar in December right now.
I think that's realistic to come up with a new plan and then get that in time and get that to Judy, to Joe in time for the 16th.
Okay. Judy, does that work for an interim date? I guess it doesn't give the long game, but.
Yep. Yeah, I can set a deadline. There's the filing deadline for that meeting for materials to be sent in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And yeah, that gives you time if there's revisions before the growing season starts.
Right.
Okay. Then can I get a motion to, did you word that, Judy, a revision to our enforcement order?
Yep. Yeah, updated enforcement order with signatures.
Would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
A second on that. Okay. All in favor, Ed?
Aye.
Ted?
Ed is an aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Jim? There, Jim? All right, Jim might have stepped away. I am an aye. That's enough for a vote. Okay, we'll look forward to seeing your plan and meeting with you again on December 16th.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yep, thanks.
Bye-bye.
thank you all.
All right, next up we have 32 Granite Street. This is another violation discussion. I see we do have the homeowners on the line. Welcome. And Judy, do you want to go over what we're looking at here?
Sure. Through the chair. So the last time we talked about this violation, we had mentioned that we saw several stumps within jurisdictional areas cut from the street level, but we couldn't kind of get onto the property and see exactly how many there were. So we've been working with the homeowners. They provided a sketch depicting their review of the stumps on the property. So these kind of circles here show the stumps that they identified. And then they did allow Anna and I to come onto the property to verify their sketch. And we did find quite a few additional. We kind of split them up by area, but in total we counted 71 stumps within jurisdictional areas, at least according to this kind of old delineation we have on file. And of the 71, they kind of ranged, I would say, from about 1 inch diameter to I think the largest we saw was around 6 inches. So I think the commission to decide next steps for Exchange Street, kind of similar. You all had asked for a new delineation, stump survey, and then a restoration plan. So I think, any variation of that, or if you have any questions on anything that we observed, let me know.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so it sounds like the information is a little choppy here. My thought, and be open to hear from other commission members as well. This delineation is at 85. Is that what that says? The previous?
I think it might be 86.
86. Okay.
Yeah, this is a scan of a scan. Sorry if it's a little fuzzy.
That's okay.
It was the year the house was built. This was the year the house was built.
Okay.
86. Okay, so it's the very original. I don't think it would hurt to get a new delineation. To get a better understanding of where we're at, although I guess even based on this one, the whole property is pretty much in the 100-foot buffer. And then yeah, it's hard going right after 10 Exchange Street for consistency's sake. Feel like I feel like a stump survey is probably warranted. Being that, staff numbers and homeowner numbers are off here by quite a bit. Does anyone on the commission have any thoughts one way or another?
Melissa, just briefly, I agree. We need to be consistent with how we deal with these types of violations.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think if that's the case and the rest of the commission is on board, that would mean a stump survey and a delineation, updated delineation of the wetlands. We have an enforcement order written on this one, Judy?
Yeah, that was
just-
to get the
yeah.
original sketch. Yep.
Okay. All right. So this would be another amendment
Mhm.
to the enforcement order.
And you'd like to wait on a restoration plan until you have that delineation and survey in hand?
Yeah, I think so. That is the next step. So, I think to the homeowners, they can start thinking about that. But in this order, I think we'll just update it to require the stump survey and the new delineation. And you're gonna want a date on that too.
Is that something we need to arrange, or is that something the town will arrange?
It is your responsibility to arrange for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and the stump survey is different from what Judy did yesterday, or because, okay,
Right.
Fortunately, not a professional land surveyor.
okay.
Judy can probably give you help identifying if you need references.
That would be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, she can probably point you to a few.
Sure.
So can I get a motion to update our order to require the stump survey, new delineation, and we'll look for that for our December. Well, might want to give them a little more time
Yeah, if we want
to get somebody on
Joe to
board.
confirm, it might take a little longer.
Yeah. End of January? Would that be reasonable?
I mean, yeah, I mean,
we go by your judgment.
we don't know like how much time it takes,
Yeah.
but we will, like, once we maybe reach out to Judy, we'll contact the,
We'll start our process as soon as we get references. Again, we've not done this before, so we don't know how much time will they take to create the new plan and do the stump survey. I think the stump survey should be relatively faster than the delineation plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you guys think Jan end is a reasonable time, we're okay with that.
Okay. If it gets caught up, then you can, of course, contact Judy and request additional time. So let's say end of January.
Sure.
January 31st. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Ed?
Aye.
Ed?
Ted is an aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Jim? So no Jim. Jim, I see you.
We got a thumbs up.
Oh, you got a thumbs up. Okay. That works. And I am also an aye. All right. So thank you. Thank you for coming in again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Continuing the process with us.
For sure. No, we'll be there till y'all are satisfied. So no worry.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
See you later.
See ya.
Okay. Next up, Toll Brothers violation discussion. Yeah, I see Ted's here. But I'll let Judy go ahead and give a rundown on this one first.
We're just pulling up some pictures. All right. So we heard from Melissa on October 26th that she had seen silt in the stream that leads off the offsite basins that the Elmwood Farms development is connected to. So just a couple pictures of the silt in the stream. Definitely not as bad as we'd seen earlier this year, but still clearly turbid. And then I have some pictures a couple days before those were taken. We go out pretty regularly. So this is a plug in the lower basin where that stream immediately comes off of. It was open at the time or not fully closed, so water was coming through here. This is the larger basin at the top of Blueberry, sort of in between that lower basin and the development. About as full as we've ever seen it, and pretty filthy. But at the time, they were not pumping it out or releasing any water from this basin. So this was a couple days before the 26th. Other couple angles. And then I'll just show some pictures from the Monday after the weekend of the 26th. So stream running mostly clear, but a little bit of turbidity in there. Water coming through the lower basin. And then that water level had gone down significantly over the weekend. So Melissa had heard pumping. Not sure exactly what was going on to make that water level go down so far, because this basin was fixed. It's not leaking anymore. So it sounded like they were pumping out. Let's see, I think there's questions about how Toll is planning to manage the volume that's been in this basin, given that it was a significant rainfall, but nothing groundbreaking, and what the thresholds are for when they start pumping or releasing water. Long-term plans to stabilize the site still, we're still having issues with dirty runoff getting into this basin. So we just wanted to have Ted in to talk about some of the issues they're still dealing with.
Thanks, Judy. I'll just turn right over to you, Ted. Yeah, you want to?
Sure. So forgive me for this wasn't framed initially as a violation discussion, so I might have approached it differently had I known that, but I will try to answer the questions as they come across. So in terms of the pictures from the 26th, how it was sort of explained to me and me trying to piece it back together. I don't believe it rained over that weekend. And we had been monitoring the basin leading up to that storm and had determined, and I had seen some pictures that allowed, thought that the water was good enough to let out. And I have one of those here that my contractor sent me, if I could share it if you'd like, of the water coming out fairly clean. So he had opened that basin up, I think that Friday, and allowed water to release, which saw that drop in the basin that you showed. Got notification or found when I met with Judy on whatever that was, that Monday morning following, that there was turbidity in the water. She showed me some of the pictures that you're showing here. And the contractor over the weekend had closed that basin up, seeing that there was turbidity coming out. And the explanation that we had gotten is that something changed within the basin to go from clean coming out to turbid coming out. I'm not sure if somebody pumped into the basin over the weekend from working on site, but that wasn't the turbidity that I had seen that previous Friday. So we closed that up as soon as we knew about it. And I guess the further comments or questions that Judy raised of how do we control that basin and when do we determine the water can come out? And it's really a very intensive, constant process that mainly our site contractor goes through, but he's relaying that information both to me and I think at times to Judy and Anna of what the basins look like and what we think is appropriate to let out. And at times we pump it out through a silt bag. If the basin is, I'll call it minorly turbid, and if it is clean, we would open that valve up to allow water to get out faster. So you saw the drop, I think, in the two different pictures that Judy showed, and that would be the rate that basin could be let out if we opened the valve up. So it's a lot of looking at the upcoming forecast and potential rainfall and deciding whether we need to start to pump the basin down due to what we think is going to come into, exceed capacity within the basin. And, at the, call it best point, we would try to release all of the water in the basin so that we start from zero. But as, storms come in, we keep it closed and allow the turbid water to build up, hopefully sediment to filter out or settle down, and then open that valve up to let water out. So, that's sort of the process, and it, our guys are out there looking at it a couple times a day, every day, to see where we stand. This one happened to happen over the weekend, so people were there less.
Okay. Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't raining, and it was a lot of water, so that was the so it was definitely a intentional pumping or release or whatever that showed up downstream. So yeah, those were the questions as the process, and it sounds like I don't know. I feel like that basin never looks clean. Like I don't know, it just never seems to be that it's settled out recently that would be acceptable just to pump it without treating it through a filter bag or something. I know at one point in time early on, we had talked about that system that had been set up on the side of the basin to pump water through to try and get the sediment to settle out so that you could pump it clean. That had like flock logs in it, but that's completely underwater at this point.
We have been adding flocculant by hand to
the basin
accelerate
itself.
settling out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it just obviously this wasn't a rain event overtopping of basins causing flow. It was definitely somebody's choice to turn on the pump and allow the water to leave the basin in this condition. So I think must be a breakdown in communication or oversight, or probably shouldn't be happening on the weekend unsupervised.
Fair. I think that's probably the weak point in this one. I mean, I got a picture up on my screen. I'm happy to share that our contractor sent to me of what it looked like coming out. That was very clean. So I, thought that it was appropriate. But obviously that changed at some point, and the lack of oversight maybe over a weekend lent to that. So
yeah, I think that if the pumps are running too, I don't get the feeling that somebody was there watching it all weekend. Turn the pump on and walk away. I think
the valves were open over that weekend, Melissa. So it wasn't somebody running a pump.
Gotcha.
So I think hearing that concern, I think either we need to be manning it while something is open, or it needs to be during the week while people are working.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Through the chair, this is Ed.
Yes, Ed.
This is not the Toll Brothers' first rodeo in Hopkinton, and we've had issues like this before. This is a continuation of the same sorts of things we've seen before. And in my humble opinion, it's a failure of management.
Yeah, this is definitely an avoidable one. Anyone else have anything they want to share on this one? Event.
Hi, Melissa. I don't want my silence to be misread. I'm just at my wit's end. I don't know how many times we need to have Ted, who seems like a lovely gentleman, Ted. I mean that sincerely, but how many times we have to have Toll Brother reps here? I just don't know what we have left of it. It's so deeply frustrating.
You know, I guess to wrap it up, we should definitely, or I guess we have the expectation, the commission, that the contractor cannot have the authority to just open the valves or do any dewatering of the basin without oversight from someone from Toll Brothers on site, like pre-approved and on site, observing what they're doing there.
We can make that part of the protocol.
Okay. And can you also let Judy know, or just notify Judy, keep her in the loop on?
Yes.
Please no Saturdays though.
Noted. So yeah, again, I'm sorry that we're here again. I think, like you said, this is avoidable, and we can we'll communicate the plan both with us present and then through Judy moving forward.
Melissa, I don't know if we can't hear you.
I don't think she can hear us. Is she talking?
You can see her moving, so it doesn't seem to be frozen.
Been on too long.
Yeah, something's clearly going on. She was trying to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
This won't happen in 2 weeks, Ed.
Thank you for that spot of humor, Ted. I sorely need it.
It's not going to happen in 2 weeks because it's going to happen in 3, guys.
Just in time for Christmas.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, I'm skipping that one.
Can't skip that one. It's one of the best holidays of the year.
Yeah. For all you meat eaters, maybe.
It's more about the pumpkin pie.
Matt, I wonder if you or I don't know if Melissa had more for Ted. I wonder if you or I should move us along. It felt like we were near an end of talking to Ted.
I think we were.
You want to take the ball and get us across the goal line here, Matt?
Sure. Do we have anything else? I mean, I don't think we need to vote on anything here. So I think the expectations have been laid out. Ted seems to understand what they are, and hopefully we won't have to talk about this again.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ted. Appreciate it. I unfortunately do not have the agenda in front of me at the moment. All right. I think that brings us to the end. We've got a conservation minute. Anything on the docket there, Judy or Anna?
Yeah, so this was a new idea Melissa had, kind of sprung from the discussion about vernal pool regs bylaw interpretation. So to have a time at the end of every meeting, if they go really long, we can skip it. But to have either myself, Anna, or, one of the commission members take ownership over a topic that the group wants to learn more about or brush up on, and just take a minute to go over it, answer questions. So we can go over the vernal pool stuff a little bit more. If folks are tired, we can skip it, having talked a little bit about it before. But I think it could also be helpful to take a minute to throw out ideas if there's topics people are rusty on or would want to volunteer to cover. Oh, my echo voice. But I think we might have Melissa back.
Yeah, something's going on there because
sorry about that. Sorry, I jumped on a different computer. Died on the audio. Sorry.
Melissa, I don't know if you know, we said goodbye to Ted in the Toll Brothers.
Okay.
We began talking about the conservation minute. I don't know if you were able to follow along or not.
I did not. I was not able to follow along, but that sounds.
You didn't miss a whole lot.
Yeah. I didn't have much else to say on the Toll Brothers piece.
It sounded like you wanted to talk about vernal pools.
Yes.
Do we want to talk about that tonight, or do we want to talk about that when we're together in person?
We can talk about that when we're together in person. That sounds good to me. It's getting late.
Sounds good to me. It's 10 o'clock. I'm okay with pushing that conversation.
Yep. Yeah, if that's agreeable, then we can go ahead and get a motion to adjourn at this point, I think.
Through the chair real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Anna.
Yeah, so I think for conservation minute, if there's something that members want us, like Judy or myself, to research ahead of time, feel free to, we can kind of keep an ongoing list of topics or, like I said, bylaw sections, reg sections. The goal over the next year, I think Judy and I are, is to kind of, take a look at the regs. There's some, some typos, some clarifications that we need, so we can kind of take chunks at a time and bring it up. But if there's a particular topic that you guys want some more information on, a heads up would be helpful. And then we can do some research to get it onto a future agenda for this conservation minute topic, which is awesome. Love the idea.
I have one suggestion that's a relevant topic, as is the vernal pool discussion. Mitigation requirements and what we must do and what we have an option of doing.
Yep.
I think that's a very relevant topic, not only for what's going on right now in our hearings, but what I've seen in the past, and I'm sure what we'll see again in the future.
Yeah, and I know Judy and I have been talking too about PIBs with new construction to try to figure out what we can do about this mowing past the PIBs and this constant problem we seem to be having, especially on new construction too. So maybe some different, PIB standards for, existing lots that are developed versus, new construction lots and stuff as well. So something else we can play with.
I love that topic.
Yeah, I think the more we can document some of the decisions that have been made over the years that don't necessarily live in our bylaw or regulations, I think that's helpful to all of us to be able to refer back to.
Yeah, there's a lot of things where it's like, I know we do this for a reason. I know we toe this line but I just, why, or, yeah, all good stuff. So think of those topics. And then I think we could also look like for tree counts. That's another one. The tree count stuff. We talked about that. That goes along yours with Matt with mitigation and coming up with some numbers. I'm sure there's things out there on sometimes I'll look at other Conservation Commission websites and see if they have any good guidelines or things we can kind of like reference and use as well. So to Judy and Anna, whether you guys have time to look at some of that stuff or we can bring it as well if we know a topic's coming up, that what we're seeing in some of our neighboring commissions practices would be good too. Okay. Yeah, so next time in person, that'll be great. And I'm sure Ed will bring something yummy to eat.
Oh, does anyone have dietary restrictions, allergies, anything?
You mean for our in-person meeting?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Awesome.
So you have to know that, and I will say that someone has offered us a kitchen, but we at the moment are operating with a non-functional kitchen. So if you're looking forward to me baking something, it's going to take some cooperation from someone outside our household, probably.
Okay.
I think we can let you off the hook with baking, but the stores bake some stuff you might be able to snag on your way in.
I'll offer you my kitchen, Ed.
And I think, I don't want to lose sight of, I think Walter has to bring the marzipan cornucopia, I believe, as the rookie for his first in-person meeting.
Yeah, that might be right.
No reaction.
Yeah, had to get off mute.
Sworn in yet, Walter. You can beg off.
I'll have it, but it'll be filled with bourbon.
Oh, that's cool. I'm with you.
All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, Ed?
Aye.
Ted?
Ted is an aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Jim?
Jim disappeared at some point.
Oh, he disappeared. Okay.
Yeah.
I am also an aye. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Good night. It's good to meet you, Walter.
Good night, everyone.
Nice to meet you all. Bye-bye.